Welcome to the UW Green Bay Student Organization Orientation for 2022-2023. The University of Wisconsin-Green Bay recognizes that participation in student organization constitutes an integral aspect of the collegiate environment. Student organization membership affords opportunities for you to develop skills in areas such as leadership, fiscal management, event planning, ethical decision-making, delegation, and team building. We expect that students will adhere to high standards of behavior in the execution of their organizational responsibilities. At this point in your registration, you will have already completed all of the paperwork necessary. The orientation is the next to last part. After this orientation video that you're watching, you'll be required to take and pass a short quiz. In your org portal in My Orgs, you can use it to tell you at a glance what still needs to be done. Look for the word incomplete. Look for the blank spaces. You can see by looking at the one on the screen here that the fund officers are still incomplete. They haven't done some things that they need to do. The video orientation has not been completed by the members required, and the fund officer quizzes have not been completed. And if you look below there towards the bottom where the bottom arrow points, you can see that there's a blank next to the quiz completed for one of the officers, the first one. And the second officer listed there has a word no in the confirmed box. So there are things that this org still needs to do in order for this registration attempt to be completed. As an officer, you can look back at your portal and very quickly tell what still needs to be done. And you should do that and facilitate getting it done quickly. You have the right to use the university's name, but there are certain conditions that go with that, and you can see those on the screen here. Your organization name must be the first thing noted and the most prominent thing on any of your materials. For instance, the Checkers Club of UW Green Bay is acceptable. The UWGB Checkers Club would not be permitted because the UWGB or UW Green Bay name comes before the name Checkers Club. The university reserves the right to approve on a case-by-case basis any use you have of the university name or marketing logos. There's a link on the screen here, along with some student organization uses of various logos over the years. The ones on the top row on this illustration are ones that have been approved. The ones below it have not. As a student organization, you can reserve and use university facilities at no charge. You're also eligible to use any services that the Student Engagement Center offers or develops for your use. And you can participate in all university events that are open to registered student organizations. We'll also include you on all official lists of registered student organizations. So when other students are looking for you, they will be able to find you. You will also be granted a UW Green Bay email account. Every student organization is given an email account that starts with the letters SO. This will allow you to communicate with your organization, receive student engagement information, and receive receipts when you make deposits. The org's SO email account is the official method of communicating with your org from the university, so make sure somebody checks it at least once a week. If you lose your password, please contact sec@uwgb.edu to get it reset. Among the rights and benefits of registration are accessing the Student Organization Toolkit, which you can find in the Student Organization portal or your org portal. Forms section is also in both of those two places. Most of the things that you would need to do having to do with the daily business of your org are accomplished with either the forms or the knowledge contained in the Student Org Toolkit. Please look over the Student Org Toolkit and the forms in order to become familiar with them so that you can get a lot of your questions answered without having to come in to see us in the office. Expectations of student organizations. Student org leaders and members will comply with university policies and local, state, and federal laws. Fund officers will keep registration materials up to date, including your constitution, member list, fund officer lists, and advisor contact information. Fund officers are also expected to maintain routine contact with your advisor and with the Student Engagement Center staff. You should use your org portal to update things. Remember I said that member lists are required to be updated and kept up to date at all times. You can click here under the word membership list to update your member lists. Similarly, the fund officer lists are required to be kept up to date at all times. And you would click on the word fund officer list in your org portal as illustrated here in order to make changes to the fund officer list. Once you enter someone on the fund officer list, they will be sent info to confirm their status and to watch the org orientation video and pass the quiz. They still need to do all three of these things. You can delete fund officers too, but make sure you don't delete anyone unless you have at least 2 others who have already confirmed and passed the quiz. Other things you can use your org portal to update. You can update your org email account, web page, social media, meeting locations, and meeting details or times. You can change those things at any time. You can also change your advisor simply by going in and backspacing over the email address of your current advisor or deleting it, and then typing in a new advisor's email address, and then click the words Update Advisor. In order to get to this screen, you would click the Edit Organization button on your organization's main homepage or portal. Getting things done. Please provide the University Union and Student Engagement Center staff with appropriate lead times. We simply cannot guarantee that we'll be able to help you if you leave things go until the very last minute. Getting things done. Making reservations for rooms or outdoor spaces on campus. Student orgs can reserve rooms and spaces, generally at no charge. To reserve rooms or spaces, you need to complete a form for the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campuses. On the Green Bay campus, you can complete a form or call reservations at 920-465-2462. The links for all of these forms are on the screen and are also available from the rooms reservations page in the Student Org Toolkit. Agency money. What is agency money? This is money that your organization has generated through collecting dues from members, fundraisers, or unsolicited donations from the general public. Who has access to the agency account? Your fund officers are the individuals who have signed off as having financial responsibility for the agency account. To find out if you have an agency account and what is in it, email stofo@uwgb.edu. One signature will be required for each transaction. An individual cannot sign for money they will be receiving. A different fund officer must authorize that for you. What can you purchase with agency money? Agency funds can only be used for activities and purchase related to the org's mission. When in doubt, consult with the Student Engagement Center prior to making purchases or planning trips. An organization cannot buy alcohol, tobacco, or weapons with agency money. SUFAC money. SUFAC is money allocated or given to your organization by the Segregated University Fee Allocation Committee of the Student Government Association. How do you obtain SUFAC money? You need to apply to the SUFAC board either through the annual budget process or the weekly contingency request for these funds. You can see the forms at the bottom of the SUFAC webpage. To request an up-to-date copy of your SUFAC budget, once again, email stofo@uwgb.edu. Can every organization obtain SUFAC money? Short answer is no, but organizations that wish to apply for SUFAC funding should meet the following criteria. Be recognized as an official student organization according to university guidelines, promote active student participation in decision-making process which positively affects student life at the university, engage in community outreach programs, and provide activities or services which are available to all students who attend the university. Fraternities and sororities are not eligible. What can an organization use their SUFAC money for? Organizations can spend their SUFAC money for services such as photocopying or faxing things related to organizational business. SUFAC money can also be used for purchasing capital items or things that the organization wants or needs, paying for speakers or performers, buying food, and helping to pay for travel. SUFAC must approve the money before it is spent. SUFAC allocates or give you money for specific purposes. If you want to spend SUFAC money on something other than that specific purpose, you need SUFAC's approval first. You ask for that permission or approval by completing a reallocation request form and emailing it to sosufac@uwgb.edu. SUFAC money cannot be used to buy alcohol, tobacco, or weapons. Making copies or duplicating things, like agendas, meeting notes, posters, advertising, etc. On the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campus, you see the Assistant Dean of Students for help with that. On the Green Bay campus, if you're making less than 30 copies, you bring it to the Student Engagement Center and use your org's copier code to make copies. If you don't know that code or you don't have one, ask at the Student Engagement Center front desk. If you're making more than 30 copies or need color copies, use the DigiCopy form, which is located in the form section of the Student Org's webpage and your org portal in order to place an order. Orders are usually ready for pickup within 2 business days. To order food, the organization must use the food request form as found on the Student Org's webpage or in your org's portal to review menus and make selections. The Student Engagement Center will ensure that the org has appropriate funding and will order the food from Chartwells or an approved vendor. Student organizations should not work directly with Chartwells without gaining prior approval from the Student Engagement Center first. There are state limits on food costs. The limit for breakfast is $12, lunch is $18, and dinner is $30. And you do need to provide some extra documentation to the Student Engagement Center for programs that include food. You will need an announcement of the event, which can be a poster, an email, or a Facebook post, and a list of attendees. You would email those items to Nina in the SEC at the address listed on the screen. Food vendors other than Chartwells. On the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campuses, there are other approved food vendors. There is an approved off-campus vendors list, which includes more information. Organizations should use the food request form for all orders. On the Green Bay campus, student organizations may purchase non-perishable snacks such as sodas, chips, pretzels, and cookies, but not things like dips or salsa from off-campus if the total purchase is less than $100 and the food is available only to members of the student organization, meaning the public is not invited. Student organizations can now also use Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Toppers for pizza orders, only those three companies and with a $100 limit still in place. Student organizations on the Green Bay campus should also always use the food request form for all orders. Purchases for more than $100 must be handled through Chartwells. Food, potlucks are permitted, and the potluck has a specific definition of being a small private event, normally fewer than 25 attendees, where individuals who are attending the event are preparing or bringing a food item, and the food is consumed only by that group. Potlucks that are publicly advertised or that are open to the public are not permitted. Buying supplies or paying for supplies and services. Use the supply request form for this. You can direct any questions to Nina in the Student Engagement Center. When your order comes in, you'll be notified and told how to pick it up. For reimbursements or figuring out how to pay people back for the money they spent for your orgs, start out by filling out a reimbursement form, and you will need to collect receipts. We strongly advise you to use the supply request form and have the SEC order things for you instead of paying things for yourself. If you pay them for them yourself and it's something you've purchased is not permitted or is not reimbursable, we may not be able to help you out at that point. Contracts for speakers or paying of performers. At no time should student organization officers or members sign contracts or agreements. Bring those unsigned documents to the Student Engagement Center for assistance. If you plan on bringing in someone which would need a contract, like a performer or a speaker, fill out a pre-contract worksheet in the forms section of the student organization's webpage or your org portal. Travel arrangements for student organizations. Don't forget that SUFAC may be willing to help fund your student organization travel up to 2/3. All travel by a student organization must be authorized. This is another way of saying it must be approved, and they must be approved at least 1 month in advance of your travel. You get approval by filling out a travel authorization form. That form is the starting point for the Student Engagement Center in making arrangements for your registration, lodging, and transportation needs. Fundraisers. All fundraisers must be approved 2 weeks in advance by the Student Engagement Center. This applies to fundraisers done on and off campus. Fundraiser money must be deposited to your organization's agency account with the university. There's a link here on the page for the fundraising form that you would use to get a fundraiser approved. Depositing fundraiser money. On the Green Bay campus, take your money and your checks to the UTIC for deposit. On the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campuses, take your money and checks to the Assistant Dean of Students. Sales tax. All sales are subject to sales tax. The sales tax will be subtracted from your revenues, and it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're selling anything, that income is going to be subject to sales tax. All sales tax must be deposited into a university account. After you deposit your money, your income from the sales, our staff will take care of the taxes as needed. Solicitation. This is another way of saying, can we ask businesses for donation? Soliciting business for donations of prizes requires prior approval. You cannot ask for cash, gift cards, or gift certificates. Note that there is a solicitation approval request form in the form section of the student organization's webpage and your org portal. The process can take 3 to 4 weeks to get approved, so please plan accordingly. Off-campus bank accounts. Student organizations are discouraged from holding private off-campus bank accounts. Under no circumstances can an organization use the name UW Green Bay or the university's tax identification number or make any reference to the university for an off-campus account. Note that all student organization fundraising revenues must be deposited into your UWGB agency account through the UTIC. On the screen, you see some listings as to how to address mail to your student organization, depending on which campus you are a part of. Picking up your student org mail. When mail comes in addressed to your student org, the Student Engagement Center or the Assistant Dean of Students on the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campuses will notify you how and where to pick up your mail. For the Green Bay campus, regular size mail will be placed in a bin outside room 150D in the Student Engagement Center. Larger items will be held at the UTIC for the Green Bay campus. To mail items out for the Green Bay campus, take the items to the front desk in the Student Engagement Center. For the Marinette, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan campuses, take the items to the Assistant Dean of Students. There are some important dates that we want you to be aware of for next semester. The first day of classes in the fall is Wednesday, September the 7th. OrgSmorg, which is the Green Bay Campus Student Organizations Fair, will take place on Wednesday, September the 14th from 4 to 7th in Phoenix Park. Other campuses will have fairs that week too. SUFAC training for org budgets for the 23-24 year for the Green Bay campus will take place on October 4th and 5th from 5 to 6 in the 1965 room. At least 2 members of your student organization must receive SUFAC training every year in order to be eligible to submit a budget. SUFAC budget requests for 23-24 are due to sosufak@uwgb.edu by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, October 23rd. SUFAC does not make exceptions to that deadline date, so make sure you've got that on your calendars. The first day of winter classes is Monday, January the 23rd, and OrgSmorg on the Green Bay campus will be February 1st from 4 to 7 in the Phoenix rooms. If you're needing help, please remember to check out the Student Organization Toolkit. You can email us at sec@uwgb.edu. For the Green Bay campus, you can also phone us at 920-465-2720. The Marinette campus, the Assistant Dean of Students, can be reached at 715-504-3302. The Manitowoc and Sheboygan campuses, you can contact the Assistant Dean of Students at 920-459-5948. Finally, the Student Organization Frequently Asked Questions Guide for 22-23 will be readily available. It will be distributed at various gatherings and available in the Student Engagement Center. So please help yourself to that as well. Thank you for listening, and remember to go pass that quiz.